I looked at the top 6 corporations in the world. I think 5 of them are American: Google, Apple, NVIDIA. And then everybody wears a suit and tie if they're a diplomat, and jeans are everywhere. Everybody's got a cell phone. Silicon Valley is, for all of its problems, is still a cutting edge as far as world technology. Everybody emulates the United States. China. Every time I look at a Chinese airplane or a Chinese uniform, I just think that they stole it from us. Would the Taiwanese fight like the Ukrainians? And the Ukrainians are as close to the Russians as the Taiwanese are to the Chinese. They're ethnically and religiously, to that degree, they're atheists. I don't know, but I get different signals from people from Taiwan. Some people say, we're so integrated with the mainland that they're just absorbing us anyway, and others feel they would fight. We're in a race between Westernization, which is really globalization, and whether that's going to make things uniformly in the West interest, or whether it's going to empower them technologically, financially, culturally, but their indigenous or innate systems are still going to be very hostile to us, but they're going to be very dangerous. So the Middle East or China will have weapons. And we saw that with COVID. They'll have sophisticated technology that poses a threat to us, and we will think that because they have cell phones or they watch a podcast or they twerk or something, that they're like us. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily the truth.
Welcome back to Expert Playback. What you just heard isn't your typical foreign policy debate. It's Victor Davis Hanson calling out what he sees as China's master plan. Copy our tech, exploit our courts, then sit back and watch us tear ourselves apart. According to Victor, we're already losing a war most Americans don't even know we're fighting.
The left has always thought that familiarity with the United States was going to create goodwill, and there's no historical support. I think of the Japanese militarists in the 30s. So Tojo took a train ride across the United States. Mm-hmm. Yamamoto was at the Naval War College for 2 years. And Misoka, one of the foreign ministers, was actually a foreign exchange. And when you look at what they told the Japanese when they got back, it was a twofold message: enormous respect for the American industrialization and wealth, but they wear spats, they do the Charleston, they're decadent, we can beat them.
2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far #1 in the world. Went, in effect, cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening, didn't like it for them, for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I didn't want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy, exclamation point. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy.
There's two things going on. Number one is they're counting on district judges to take away that blanket tariff.
Here's what's wild about Victor's take. He's saying China doesn't just want to beat us economically. They want to use our own system against us. Think about it. They steal our technology. Then when we try to fight back with tariffs, they run to our courts to stop us. It's like getting robbed, then having the thief sue you for self-defense.
There's a twofold problem, and that is that Asia's a long way from Europe, so the Europeans will have no role, and they'll be busy with Russia and Ukraine. And then it's the question that we have been giving so many weapons to Ukraine, and we have given a lot to Israel, and do we have enough stockpile to stop them? The whole point is that they're trying to make a lot of less expensive weapons, drones, maritime and aerial, and flood the zone, so that if you would envision an invasion across that 90-mile sea, and the United States had at its disposal, say, platforms that could release, say, 400 or 500 drone missiles, you could think, drone missiles and drone subs or surface like jet skis or something, and just you could do a lot of damage. There's a Taiwanese admiral somewhere, when the prime minister calls him up and said, "Can China invade?" He will tell him, as the first lord of their admiralty told the British when Napoleon, he said, "I don't know when or if or how he's going to invade, but I can only assure you he shall not come by sea." And that meant in those days there was no way he was going to make it.
Victor's laying out some pretty intense math here. 90 miles of water sounds like a lot until you realize modern warfare isn't about landing on beaches anymore. It's about who runs out of missiles first. His point about stockpiles after Ukraine and Israel, that's the kind of real talk that should keep Pentagon planners up at night.
If we'd gone in there and we had a big open pit mine and we hired ex-Taliban people and paid them a great wage, and if you think he's crazy, they've just invited the Chinese in.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when people do polls sometimes, Chinese are more popular than we are. I think what it is there's a resentment for this cultural arrogance that we come in, and it's mostly, I think, against the left. I think they come in and they think, this is LGBTQ, this is transgendered sports, this is new Green Deal. You guys all got to get on the page. It's good for you. It's a talking down to people, both here and abroad, that gets people very angry. That's one of the things China is counting on, that Trump's domestic opponents and the judiciary will hamstring him. And number two goes back to an earlier point we made on the earlier broadcast, that everything is connected. So why did Putin choose to go on February 22nd to 24th into Kiev 2022? I think it was because Joe Biden was cognitively inclined, that he had told Putin, if you're going to do cyber attacks, knock off hospitals. He'd seen Blinken and Sullivan humiliated at the Chinese Anchorage summit, mini summit. He had seen Biden say, when told they were massing on the borders of Belarus, he said his reaction would depend on whether it was a minor invasion. And then most importantly, of course, was the disaster in Afghanistan in August. And he completely shredded any semblance of deterrence.
So there it is, Victor's forefront war that most people never even think about. China's playing chess while we're arguing about pronouns. And according to him, they're winning. What do you think? Are we really that vulnerable? And should those in charge heed Victor's warnings? Drop your thoughts below. A like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And we'll see you Friday for another trending topic playback.